McMuffin is probably the most incredible dog rescue that I've ever been involved with. First came across her when we were actually out trying to help another dog with a really bad leg, and a little man called me from across the road. He sort of looked quite dishevelled, and I didn't really know. I actually thought he might want some money or something from me at first, but he sort of beckoned me over and he showed me out the back of a sort of an allotment, and I was kind of really suspicious at first because it was a weird place to be showing me something, and I couldn't understand what he was saying, but he took me out, and lo and behold, there was a beagle out there. Now, I have never seen a dog in a condition as bad as this, and it was really an assault on the senses. First of all, the smell was like nothing I've ever smelt. It was like rotting flesh. She was covered in what looked like sores or marks. I didn't know what they were at the time. They turned out to be tumours. And he tried to keep her alive with rice and some very, very basic medicines, but she was in a terrible way. But he'd beckoned me in to get help, and what we did is we scooped her up, and through translation on the phone we'd figured out that this man had taken this dog from the streets that had been dumped, and he tried his best to look after her. It turned out the man was a little bit mentally disabled, so he'd really done an incredible job with what little resources he had, and he was so brave to call on myself and my friend to come in and try and help her, because she had been abandoned by somebody and she was in a really bad way. So we took her to the vets, and they immediately sort of gave us the bad news that, you know, it was cancer. These were cancerous tumours. There was at least 30 or 40 of them. She was also covered in ticks and fleas, hundreds of them. And ironically, it wasn't the cancer that was nearly about to kill her. It was the other stuff. She had blood parasites, she had tick fever, she had anemia, and her blood tests were horrific. So yes, the cancer looked really bad, and it definitely was, but that wasn't the thing that was going to kill her. It was all the other stuff that had happened to her while she was on the streets. She's a really broken dog. You could see by her face how bad she was.
Oh, that tail just won't stop wagging, will it?
So took her to a second vet who had a lot more equipment and experience, and what they suggested is that they would actually need 3 whole weeks at least to get her better. So she stayed at the vets. That's how serious she was. She needed fluids, she needed special medicine, and that was really to cure her of all the other stuff besides the cancer before we could even tackle that. And looking at her tumours, I mean, they were everywhere. They were on her feet, they were on her face, they were all over her back. She even had a few tumours on her ass. She had tumours just anywhere you could imagine between her little paws. Horrific. And they were red raw, really, really sore. She must have been in absolute agony. I thought her chances of survival were, 2-3%, especially the first night. I'm not gonna lie, I went home and I had a long sleep, and I genuinely started to think to myself, it's probably best to put this dog out of her misery. There's no way a dog could come back from this. And I made peace with that during the night. I sort of said, yep, that's what I'm going to wake up and do. But woke up the next morning and something in her eye. We just looked at her and she had a little spark in her eye, or something. Just by cleaning her up and getting all the fleas and stuff off her, she kind of looked a little bit better. And we said, okay, it's not going to be cheap. In total, it actually cost about $5,000 to fix up McMuffin between 12 weeks of treatment and vet stays. She didn't leave the vet for 2 months.
Oh, McMuffin, you're going to be fixed. Can you believe that? You still have a lot of battles ahead of you. There's no doubt about that. But you are going to be fixed. It's just incredible, McMuffin. It's just incredible. I'm speechless. You're like a normal beagle again. Not that you weren't before, but you look fantastic.
She's called McMuffin because the first day that she got bandaged up, she had yellow and red bandages on that reminded me of McDonald's. So I had a quick look at their menu, saw McMuffin on the menu, and I was like, that's the perfect name for this little dog. So McMuffin stayed in the vets. I visited her every day. We walked her. Eventually she was well enough to start her chemotherapy, which was meant to last for 6 weeks, but it actually took 12 weeks. And every day her little bandages would change colour, and she had good days and bad days. She could only walk about 50 metres at the start, then she got up to about 100. I wouldn't say I could see her getting better because she was really, really bad, but eventually after about 2 months I saw the tumour starting to get a little bit smaller, and it's a TVT cancer, which is a sexually transmitted cancer, and it actually started to get better.
You're looking just fantastic, I would say. Your paws are no longer red. A gorgeous little girl. You're not getting out of your bed, McMuffin. You're tired, you're a slow riser today, aren't you? Oh, the king and the queen. Looking good today, you two. Looking good. What's going on? What is going on? Water!
My dream was to get her, to Christmas and to get her into the little sanctuary, and eventually that managed to happen. And she now, funnily enough, turns out to be like a therapy dog for other dogs. Her tumours have completely gone. She's full of life. She's a classic beagle. She's always trying to feed herself, find food in the bushes, find food in bins. She's loud barking. She's mischievous. She's just a really fun dog. So because her health the chemotherapy took so much out of her. She's still got a weak immune system, and she still picks up a lot of issues like infections and eye issues, ear infections. So kind of holding on to her at the land, because it's a big sort of expense and a lot to look after her. So I don't think it would be right to give her to somebody to have all that as a burden, to be taking her to the vets every couple of weeks. But where she is blissfully happy. She loves all the other dogs. She loves all the humans. She's cheeky. If you looked at her that first day when she smelt like absolute death, she looked terrible. She was beaten. Like those eyes, she was beaten. There wasn't any hope left for her. But I had learned from McMuffin that no matter how low you go in life, if you can just get a bit of a lucky break and a spark from somewhere and somebody to help you, you can make a comeback. So McMuffin, even deep down in my own heart, I didn't think it would be this sort of recovery, but it is. And I just look at her running down that road with her friends in the jungle, and every time I see it I nearly have a tear out. She's a wonderful dog, is McMuffin.